It's time for a vacation, and Fairway Travels is here to share great specials for you to choose from. Discover the charm and features of one of Sandal's 16 all-inclusive, luxury-included, adults-only resorts, or a family-friendly beaches destination in the Caribbean.
Hey, some changes here. I think we're live. Let me try to play this opening. Something's changed here. We're going to play this opening intro here. For some reason, it's not working. We're having some technical difficulties. I am on the road and trying something new. So let's see. Try this.
This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Welcome to the From Pain to Purpose radio show. I'm your host, Eva Fulton. In this show, we explore the incredible journeys of resilience, healing, and transformation. In each episode, we will sit down with individuals who have faced unimaginable struggles and turned their pain into power, heartbreak into hope, and their challenges into meaningful change and finding new purpose in life. Through candid conversations and inspiring stories, we will uncover how pain, whether emotional, physical, mental, or spiritual, can be the catalyst for profound growth and a deeper sense of purpose. So if you are looking for motivation, insight, and real stories of triumph over adversity, you're in the right place. Let's get started on this journey from pain to purpose. Let's give veterans a voice through Military Broadcast Talk. Hey, everybody. How are you doing? Oh, let's change some of the background stuff. I don't know what is happening. I do. Honestly, I do, because I am remote and I don't know how to get Josh's background thing off. Oh, no. This is going to be fun. We're just going to go with it, guys. This is hilarious. So it's all right. I'm okay. We are coming live from Ocean City, Delaware. I'm out here, gonna just meet some new people tonight, and I've never met any of these folks. Hopefully I will have a good time and, go with it. I think it'll be interesting. At the very least, I guess a whole different landscape, right? Beach. And I had to drive a little bit to get some internet. So pardon me for being a little bit unorganized today, but sometimes that's just how we roll. And I am super excited to have a guest tonight. And I have been communicating with our guest for, probably close to 10 years, but really only more significantly here we go. Here's my logo, right? Here's it. Nope. There we go. Only have been communicating probably more regularly, I think is a good way to put it, for the last 6 months or so. But I think that this lady came into my life way back when I was sicker than what I realized, and and I just started absorbing what she sent out, not just to me, but to a whole group of people that I think has she's been the wind beneath a lot of the veterans wings that has been behind the whole Gulf War illness movement. I don't know if she recognizes how many people ought to be able to say thank you, because she's just been instrumental in making a difference in whether we knew it or not, right? Because when we all came back from Saudi, we knew that something wasn't right, but this lady knew. And I've had some really wonderful conversations. Um, and I will, how do I say even who she is? So her name is Denise Nichols. And I know she's out there and has had many articles written on her. She was a nurse by trade, and I think angel in life. And I don't pass that kind of term on to very many people because, I think there are angels that walk among us, and um, there are just some people that need to know that they've been building a legacy, and many of us have her to thank, because she she understood her assignment. So without further ado.
The interview of the week is brought to you by Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
Hi, Denise.
Hi. I hope you can hear me.
I can.
Oh, success.
Success. I'm sorry. Everything. There we go. Now we can see each other a little bit better. I'm sitting in my truck, and some of Josh's, I gotta. I'm still trying to get all of this set up. It'll look different. It's okay. So my friend Josh, I recruited him to, be one of our hosts, and I didn't get a chance to log in to get my whole studio set up before we started. That's okay. That's what happens when we go remote, right? So how are you doing today?
Oh, surviving. I was
Surviving.
panicking of getting online with you. I had the husband helping and
I
everything.
know. I was too. And then I was, so Assateague Island is where I'm staying tonight. That's where the ponies cross. And so, I
Where are you?
the
Where are you
do you know
again?
where Ocean City is, right?
Right.
Okay, so Assateague Island is not far. It's like 8 miles down the road, but that's where the ponies cross between the bay and the island.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah,
I've heard about that. I haven't seen it.
yeah, I haven't ever seen it before. So here I'm, drove in and saw a couple ponies, but driving out there were more ponies, and there's that instinct. I've got to hurry. I've got some place to go. Oh, but I want to take a picture.
Is this Maryland?
This is on the Delaware side.
On the Delaware side. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, look up Assateague Island. So I feel like,
Yeah.
I'm in this neat little, land of things, but I did get my tent set up really quickly because I didn't know what time I was going to get back. And, I'm trying to find these people and don't want to set up a tent in the dark. So I set it up and got bit by like 50 mosquitoes while I was doing that.
Oh,
So,
great.
all
You've been
right.
having all kinds of extra things happen.
I know. Hey, at least it's not fuel in my eyes this time. So,
Yeah, I just sent you all the stuff on the dry eye syndrome.
yeah. And I took your instructions. I sent some of it to my optometrist, and she's like, I don't know. I have to look at this next week when I'm in the office. She's like, I don't know if I'm qualified. I was like, it's a presumptive. Don't worry. Dry eyes is a presumptive. I just need the nexus letter that's at least, probably connected to my service, but here's all the research for you to be able to see, hey, the presumptive's already there. I just need you
Yeah.
to write the letter. Yes, she's got dry
Well, I
eye,
haven't,
and
I have not seen it on the list, okay, on
oh, I thought
presumptive
it
list,
was. I thought it
but
was on the list.
under category on the multi-symptom undiagnosed,
Yeah.
it should fall under that. So refer to the
Okay.
multi-symptom chronic symptoms.
Okay. I'll relook at that then. So I don't want to
Yeah.
steer her wrong
Because
then.
it's not, we've got the cancers, we've got, all kinds of named items. Okay. But
Hmm.
dry eye doesn't come up on that list, but it's one of those chronic symptoms that we have.
Okay.
So
All
it's
right.
under the chronic, multi chronic undiagnosed symptoms. I'll send
So
you
let
the wording.
okay. That will help me walk her through it.
Yeah,
I think what people ought to know. So Denise has been sending, you have been sending out lots of research information since you were able to start getting all of the physicians on board, all these researchers. But it started before that. When you came
yeah,
back from Saudi, you told me that you as a nurse knew that something was wrong.
yeah.
And you were at a one of the hospitals that were in the vicinity where I was at. I was stationed at Log Base Alpha, Charlie, and Echo, and you were in that vicinity, right?
Log base Charlie.
Yep.
Log
And
base
you
Charlie, a little spot on the road.
I remember, and that was probably about the time I had to go there once because I ended up with a beetle on my breast during the night. It attached itself to my breast. Um, so I did make at least one trip there, but I also had many. No, I think there were other trips there because I was getting diarrhea when I was there, and they gave me
Yeah.
atropine.
The one medical hospital I remember real clearly is the one that came from Alabama, a reserve unit out of Alabama. And we
Hmm.
received patients from 3 Army hospitals.
Wow.
So that was one. And we were mainly there to provide the air transport to get you further back. Okay. The 130s are, logistically, they carry all the cargo. Okay. But
Right.
they can also be air evac missions. We
Yep.
bring on the patient. Well, we have to go on and put the stanchions up and get the straps down. And then we start carrying on the litters from our tent. And what we had at Log Base Charlie was basically 2 GP large tents. And then next door was a area for all the incoming flights that had equipment, logistics. Okay, it was a little small hexagon shaped tent, with minimal people there to receive supplies. They sit there, somebody else comes and picks them up and goes down the road, okay? But we were mainly operational during the time of aircraft movement. And I mean, we got some calls in the middle of the night. There was one call that I remembered that we had to, COSCOM was up the road from us, okay?
That was 13th Coscom, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's the only one
That's
I
where we
know that was in that
that's where
area.
That's where we got our mail from, because I
And
was a deuce.
it was down Tapline Road toward
Yep,
Kuwait, if you were headed
yep,
to Kuwait. Okay.
yep. That's how
Um,
we were.
yeah. And so we got a phone call, radio call, rather, not a phone call, radio call,
Right.
that some people, Saudis, what have you, had run into the tractor trailer. We blocked off Tapline Road at the
Oh,
at the end of Tapline Road coming toward Kuwait, and then
right.
at the other end, for that became the landing strip and the runway. So that was
Oh,
blocked off, but a lot of civilian Saudis, I guess, didn't know, and they were
they
traveling at
flew through
night,
there. Oh
and
man.
so they creamed into one of the trailers, big storage trailers that they had, and
Yeah.
people turned them into a sleeping area and all that.
Right.
So they
The
creamed
Connex, the
into it.
Connexes. It was those Connex boxes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so they creamed into that was blocking the regular road. So we played ambulance crew that night. And then another time we got a call from COSCOM that they needed medical help. And we were, I guess, the closest that they could holler at and get up the road quickly to COSCOM. And it was a individual that had gone down, physically. So I remember a crew, we sent one of the nurses and a couple of med techs up the road. That was kind of the emergency ambulance type thing that we had not trained on. It just, you adapt,
Right.
you adapt. If you're lacking supplies, you're trading supplies with the Army or whoever's your user service that you're there for. And ours was Army at our location. But we had, we were number 13. I think we were the last one along tap line because Rafa was up the road from us and Alpha Alba 10 were the two
Right.
kind of endpoints. And so there was every time there was a log base, I think, is where we set up our tonnage and had another mobile aeromedical staging facility. And what happened was there's basically, at the time, there was 2 group size aeromedical evacuation. They were all reserve, okay? We
Right.
came under Pope's first air evac, whatever. That was just a squadron. I mean, it was small, So if anything happened like Panama or Gulf War, we were activated, okay? We had
Right.
people going down to Panama. And then they also set up at Kelly inside a hangar, putting up a GP large to receive the patients before we could transfer them to either Wilford Hall at the time or, over to Sam Houston to the Army
Right.
Hospital. So that's how it works. So we had 2 group sizes. We were all activated. Okay. The 37th out of Florida and 32nd out of Kelly, both attached to a wing, which had aircraft and all that. So that was our duty. And that was outlined as the improvement from Vietnam. Okay. Of how air transport, expanded. Helicopter rescue was started in Vietnam.
Right.
But then, coordinating the Air Force with the Army or the Marines or whoever, that was the development. I have a book on the history somewhere in my bookcase, but talked about the history of how the aeromedical groups got started and all that. So we were part of that. And I was older. Give you a rough estimate. I graduated high school in 68. Okay, immediately was headed up to Texas Women's University because I wanted to come back to the Houston Medical Center for my training. And I could have gone University of Texas, go down to Galveston to their hospital down there. Could have gone out.
I'm smiling because that's the year I was born. So
And so I wanted to be at the Houston Medical Center. I'd had a high school job there, So I knew what was going on, and I saw the developments on cardiovascular. All the beginning of all the open heart started with us in Houston. I mean, well, elsewhere too, but Houston with Dr. DeBakey and then Dr. Cooley, who was DeBakey's student. And they were kind of competing between 2 hospitals, Methodist and St. Luke's. And so that's, my training. And when we were, we had to either choose Dallas or Houston. Of course, I'm going to go back to Houston. And so our rotations as student nurses included all those hospitals.
right.
Except for one that had a nursing, just a, basic hospital trained nursing. Okay. RN, but that was Herman Hospital. But anyway, we were into all the other places for training, including VA Hospital, the old one.
Right.
And then also we were at what was called Texas Institute of Research and Rehabilitation, which ended up being the place that Gabby Gifford went for recovery, and that
Oh,
they
okay.
helped her so immensely in her recovery. And at the time, we didn't have computers at the bedside in other hospitals. Texas Institute of Research and Rehabilitation had quadriplegics and paraplegics. They had computers at the bedside. I mean,
Wow.
we were putting nursing notes right there, which is common now, but that was the beginning point. And so I had friends that, went to Vietnam, didn't come back. One of them's name is on the wall, one that I double dated with his girlfriend in my date way back in high school, Paul Sparks' name. He was short term to get home and didn't make it. So he's on the
Wow.
Vietnam wall. We had others that didn't make it back. My oldest brother served in Vietnam. He had a full military career. And what really helped him was he had not the great grades in high school. And he got into the Air Force at Lackland, going into basic, and they identified way back then. He's older than me. He's my oldest brother. And so they identified he had dyslexia and taught him how to deal with it.
Oh,
He
wow.
shot off like a rocket, multi degrees, ended up a full military career, and then went into defense contracting, going up to Aberdeen and setting up high altitude missile defense program. I know that he worked on the 360-degree ability on the AWACS plane that was heavily used
Right.
during Desert Storm.
Yep.
So I knew Vietnam. I knew Vietnam vets. And I knew what they were dealing with Agent Orange way back when. That was
Yeah.
what was happening then. And then the other brother, just so everybody knows, my other brother went Marines. The handsomest dude in high school.
Oh.
Women were all over him. He was a football player written up in Texas Football Monthly. And hey, date the sheriff's daughter? He got told, go in the military or deal with me type thing. And so he went Marines and went Camp Lejeune. We did not know at the time on the water damage, the exposures in the water. So my brother, the middle one, the handsome, healthiest one, with getting involved with Fat Sox Show. His kids got involved with Jet Ski International Racing, and he's out there holding their jet ski up to rev up. I mean, he was healthy. Got a cancer, and gosh, it was like a year. And he died at the age of 57.
Oh, no.
And that was way before we knew about Camp Lejeune water. So
Right.
one of the things our program said we were change agents. What we knew, that's what they were drilling into. So you're a change agent. What does that mean? Anyway,
Right.
but I guess it became clearer as going on of the exposures and what was going on in the military. I mean, atomic vets didn't get any coverage until after we came home. I saw an article in the VFW about the atomic vets finally getting some help. And that was in the 90s. And Vietnam vets didn't get help until right before we came home from the war. Was their first presumptives bill. And it took them like 5 congressional sessions to get there. So the VBA, Vietnam Vets of America, have been instrumental for us. They were there welcoming us, grabbing us. And we had the first hearing was, I think, the House Veterans Affairs hearing, and we had 5 or 6 scattered throughout the country that were going to go there and testify. One of them being out of Iowa that set up the state task force for GUF4. And they were supposed to have John Deere's plane and pilot. Somehow I get this emergency panic call of, what are we going to do? We don't have the plane or the pilot or something. Oh my God. who was I to call? Except that I'll take a challenge. And it's been almost, it was early morning when I was notifying the female that was going to get on in Chicago airport. And the one from Iowa was driving on the road, getting to Chicago, get on the plane with her. And there was others across that would have to get there to DC too. I took pledges to cover their tickets.
Wow. I know you were telling me a couple weeks ago about getting people's points or miles, donated to try to help get people, not just the studies now, but just the whole process of trying to help
There's,
get
yeah,
veterans to testify.
we're just getting in tune. We had one main credit card and we had points and we had never done anything with them. Well, my new son-in-law is a master at all these points. And so ended up my husband used some of those points just lately to get the airplane and get over to his sisters that needed help back over in College Station.
Right.
So that's the first time we've used the points. And you also gather points. Like I have some Southwest Airline points that I've used occasionally in the past, mainly before COVID. But that's one way. The other way is I want to tell you, we all need to find ways to communicate. And the programs, all the things that you're doing is newer ways, okay?
Right.
But what we had in the beginning, in the very beginning, when we got home, I had a computer. Husband had bought one, and there it sat. I'm going, what do you do with this? I mean, we had them at the unit, but actually having one and, connecting. And what we had back then was we had 2 Vietnam veteran parents of us that were in Texas. And they decided to put up a Prodigy place for us. It was a bulletin board. It was basically a bulletin board.
Right.
Not interconnected and all, but we all found out about it. And the first thing they had gotten on there was a check confirmation of Saren. Open your eyes up. Oh my gosh.
Right.
Really,
the thing that they said didn't exist actually existed.
Yeah.
All
and
of those alarms.
And the check equipment was the best thing they had at the time was the check confirmation equipment that they had.
Right.
And there's units that knew that. There was units. I talked to people early on that were coming through, I think VA real early on for the registry or over at the Fitzsimmons for this comprehensive clinical eval. Man, they could tell you things. Open your ears, start talking with each other. And they would tell about being in the forward area and some team coming forward. Not tagged. I mean, not with their name tags on. And they're up there going, you guys are in trouble. Yeah. They were taking readings. This mystery team. I mean, this is from conversations I was hearing all along the way. And what happened was we had that first group go to the House Veterans Affairs, accomplish that mission. The next things that were coming up were 2 things. Senator Rockefeller was having a Senate Veterans Affairs Committee meeting. And then Senator Wrinkle with banking export and stuff like that. And we're going, it's not a Veterans Affairs Committee here. And this is more interesting.
Right.
Why is banking, export, and all that getting involved, that committee? Well, that tells you a lot because the Iran-Iraq war, 8 years that we were providing, think on both sides. People didn't know their history. You got to learn your history, people. Know the military history and history of conflicts. You'll learn a lot more if you're in tune. So, I mean, we were basically operating, I had put an extra phone line in. It was before cell phones. We slowly got pagers and then cell phones.
Right.
So one of my efforts was in '09. I was over on Facebook, a new thing at that time, fairly new. I mean, they had a couple of
That's
other,
about the time I started hearing from you,
yeah.
posting in different pages.
So what happened was I watched Facebook and I'm going, what is this with the Haiti earthquake? Oh my God, they're organizing and getting all their news out by Facebook. All
Yeah.
their organizing and everything. It was kind of amazing, eye opening. And then the next thing with the Iran revolution, the Green Revolution. And they did all their organizing on Facebook. And I'm going, all right, we got to move ahead here. We got to go to Facebook. So
Right.
I wrote a little news article about, okay, veterans, get on Facebook. You can set up your group, you can set up your unit, your branch. We can have ones on Gulf War illness, research, what have you. And we have just crazy amount of Facebook pages now. I have several I try to keep up with that I set up myself, much less the Gulf War illnesses page that David Winnett, the Marine, set up. And David got involved. He was still working out in California, civilian job. I think he was head of transportation for one of the cities out there. And one of the early things that we had, besides the hearings that we were trying to get word out on, was the effort we had that Kurt Love started out in Texas by bugging Senator Cornyn, who bugged the secretary to do something because he had this Gulf War vet that bugged him like crazy. So we had a advisory group from the VA that was set up by the authority the VA secretary has. He can do his own for 18 months. It's kind of deadline for 18 months. It's
Okay.
not by law, but he has that authority. So he did it on benefits. Well, we were meeting up in DC. All of them, I think, were in DC meetings. And I was hollering out for people to come. Please come. It's the same 4 or 5 of us, and we need more faces and voices. And if you can't come, then, let's see if we can do a call in for your public comments. So that was
I wish
early.
I wished I had understood about that whole process back then. Now I understand what that process means, but I just was getting your little crumbs that I could connect because I was so sick at the time. I I I was struggling to comprehend some of the stuff that you were putting out because I was that sick. But when you started posting about the Gulf War Endless page and started telling us, you gave us the instructions, the step by step. Take this information, go to your doctor, get the referral. The VA will pay for it. That was a huge game changer for me because suddenly I felt like somebody was hearing me and I wasn't alone, that you had been posting it, and I was navigating new territory and trying to help teach the local VA. But when I started talking with them and going, I went for that whole week. That was a game changer for me. Just
Yeah.
game changer. You need to
The,
know how much that helped me just getting started there.
the first thing we got by law, okay, was the VA having the VA registry. Okay, we
Yep,
had the
I remember that.
comprehensive clinical eval one that was active duty. They had done that. The VA registry was a separate one that we had to fight by law to get a law and then to get it going. Okay. And what had happened to me is I got a flyer in the mail. I have no idea why, but it happens. And it was on the health consequences of the Persian Gulf War in a meeting in Bethesda. And I go, okay, I'm helping them get to the House hearing. This is the next thing that was happening was this big conference at Bethesda in a big auditorium, with 2 aisles and all that and stage and all. So here's the DOD people up on the stage. And so we got the word out on that meeting. It was probably the most Desert Storm vets we could gather at the time, and we filled up the place, with
Wow.
other people and early researchers. And it took me a long time, but I found out I was up at Kimberly Sullivan's Boston University doing, I know exactly when she was doing a getting spinal fluid, in which they couldn't get mine. 5 sticks and they couldn't get in. The old
Oh
fashioned way,
no.
lay on the bed, curl up,
Yeah,
have the
yeah.
doctor from the ICU come in and poke. No, no, no. Do it the way Dr. Beranek did. He took us down to radiology using a very, very small needle to guide it right in to get into where you need to pull the fluid from.
Right.
He took us down to radiology so he could visualize. And I
Yeah.
said, okay, I came over here. I've already done it there. I guess we can check and see if he has leftover samples because they don't use it all. So I was instrumental in saying we need to gather the leftover samples in Boston for the biorepository.
Yeah.
So if you go through any research and they have leftover blood, sputum, what have you, get it donated to be sent to Boston. That way other researchers can access without having to grab you. Okay. They can access samples that are coded not by your name, but they can find out about Desert Storm Gulf War veterans having problems.
Well,
Okay.
I know we got a little over 20 minutes left because you and
Okay.
I, we can talk for hours and hours, and so maybe we're gonna have to do
We're gonna
more.
move
Do it.
quickly.
Yes. So there are
Because we
two
want to
things.
talk about one particular research. We need to get
Yes.
this out.
Yes.
And that one that's on a deadline. I have to tell people the research that we have funded that civilian universities and research institutes like Roskamp down in Sarasota, they had no way to help us. We were, we had VA and the registries, and we had the active duty, and we tried to work with both of them. We really did, but they just were doing their normal thing of not knowing what to do about us. Okay. So we said we need help, and we went back over to Congressman Shays' Government Reform Committee on the House side, who had really concentrated on us for 3 years, and then another 2 years on the anthrax vaccine, having hearings and hearing directly from the people, not just from a head commander of the VFW. At that time they weren't Desert Storm vets. Okay,
Right.
So we were feeding into them, or I fed into the committee directly of really good vets to testify on different things. And if they needed 2 or 3, I'd give them double that number. You select the ones you want. I've already checked, and these would qualify.
You
And they
vetted
said
them.
they would.
Yeah.
And so you pick the final pick. I don't want to be that person. I'm not the staff people. I'm not getting paid for that. But anyway, so we went back to them and said, this isn't working. We need something else. That's when we found out about congressionally directed medical research. And it was started in 93, and we had no knowledge about it, but it was Senator's wife getting involved with cancers with Vietnam vets.
Oh.
And so you had to get interest on the Hill, both on the House and Senate. They sign on showing interest. And so there's a tight time schedule at the beginning of authorization time in DC, which is crazy time.
Yep.
The Hill gets very crowded with people after funding. So we had 2 people on the House side that sent out a letter to their Democrat, Republican, and asked, if you're interested, sign on with us. So we would run around as soon as that letter went out, we could go in person, knock on doors up there. I could bug people, call your congressman in DC office.
Bipartisan.
Right.
Mind you,
Call your representative in DC, because that's where the appropriation work goes. If you go to your home office, that's kind of the constituent one-on-one problems.
Right.
Okay. And people don't realize that. So if you getting with a law or funding, it's DC. Okay. That you've got to talk to their staff up there to get them to support. So
Right.
they did that both on the House and Senate side. Senate side was Tammy Baldwin, who did the whole thing for the 100 senators. And so we had that time period that we had to work the House, and then Senate would come in right behind or overlapping toward the end. So it was crazy time to get all the efforts centered to get them to show interest. They would
Right.
sign the letter, and then it goes to the appropriate appropriations committee, which for
Yeah.
us, the money comes from defense.
Defense. Right.
Okay. But
Yep.
we had to force the issue to get civilian help. Okay. And that started in 2006 with bare $5 million. We built up 2022 to 20 million slowly. And now it falls under, we tried to say, leave us alone, keep our programs separate at the congressionally directed medical research program. But they decided after post 9/11 people hit, there's more of them than us,
Right.
that they had to, and with Camp Lejeune and other contaminations being firefighter foam in the water, fuel in the water in Pearl Harbor. Oh, we need to have a toxic exposure group. And we're going, well,
But
that's great.
because of all of the BRAC closures that they did. I mean, I went to basic at Fort McClellan, Alabama. Monsanto's plant was next door. So Fort
Right.
McClellan, all of us veterans are sick from that as well. Fort Chaffee is where I went to I did PLDC there. That was a BRAC closure. My AIT and BNOC was at Fort Ben Harrison. That was a BRAC closure. I was talking with the in-depth study nurse on Monday, and she was like, "You've been all those places, and that's all been closures?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "I'm pretty sure the doctor will be interested in talking with you." So I don't know if that'll mean I'll go to the next phase, but I'm a participant in the in-depth study,
Yeah.
and
We're
that
gonna,
next phase will go to NIH. So
yeah. We're going to jump to the two critical research programs you have to travel to for Gulf War illness. Because what
yes,
happened was we were combined, and our researchers are having to compete with all the rest of the researchers now. So we've lost the amount of studies that we have. And it's not
right,
going to get better because the funding is getting less and less for research in the government totally. Not just for us, but civilians too.
right.
So these are critical to finish. And the one we're going to talk about that's critical is the Power of the Diet study, which is Dr. Holton in American University.
Oh
And I'm
man,
going to give
I
the
love
number.
her. She's awesome.
Her phone number, the phone number to call the coordinator, okay, and call them. Okay, there's a survey you can do online. She can send it to you, but I've told her the vets need to hear the voices,
Yep. What's
and
Horace's number? I'll type it into the comments.
202, area
202.
code 202
Yep.
885
Yep.
3810. I'll repeat that 202 885 3810. And she's even given a cell phone number. I mean, we're desperate now. We've got to get the finishing line here. But that number.
Hold on. Yeah, Hora is amazing. All right. What's her number?
The cell phone number that she gave was 949 554 4504. So we've got two phone numbers to reach her, the 202 number and the 949.
Yep.
Okay. And, they also have links on the internet and all that. But let me tell you.
And I shared that already up here too.
Yeah. This study was started because I need to give you the background real quick.
Yep.
One of the things is we don't have the diagnostic tools identified of what the doctors need. The providers need diagnostic tools that show the damage, okay? And you may get your blood working on, it all looks fine. Yeah, interesting. We need to be on again so I can tell about the blood situation of how that can be known.
Oh, I
Okay.
know. Yeah, you and I have talked about that. Yeah.
So, but for the diet, what we did is I found Dr. Beranek at Georgetown by reading his research. And so what we were identifying was people that worked with the civilian chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. Those are two presumptives we had gotten early, besides the functional GI, gastrointestinal problems, and the
Yep.
multi-chronic symptoms, okay?
Yep.
So it ended up we were getting a lot of that interest from those researchers dealing with civilians. I connected with a civilian group early on after getting home because we had things that were strange, you know?
Right.
So, you know, I started looking into research and I found Dr. Beranek at Georgetown. I went, wow, Georgetown's a great medical university up there in DC. And what I was reading was his research on civilian chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. So I reached out to him because his final proteomics paper he did for them blew my mind. So I called him and I said, hey, if I get you invited to the VA RAC committee that we got by law, VA Research Advisory Committee on Gulf War Illness Research and Gulf War Illness, would you accept the phone call, first of all? Because I'm going to get in touch with the chairman to invite you, to tell what you're doing.
Right.
So we got him invited and made sure it was going to be in Dallas with Dr. Haley being down there. That was our effort from Ross Perot at Southwestern down in Dallas. So we were having some meetings elsewhere outside of DC. So he got invited, he came, and he presented his work, and he realized that he could help the veterans. Okay. And what he had that he started with was the fMRI diffusion tensor technology. That's a very advanced scanning. And they're looking all through the brain. It takes longer. It's not a CAT scan that you go in and you're done in a few minutes, or one MRI would die, or a PET scan. Those are different. They're very quick.
Right.
The fMRI with diffusion tensor, you have to be activating the brain. And there's a little two-back test you're doing while you're in the scanner. So they're looking all through each level of the brain. And he found the problem with civilian chronic fatigue, and his assistants kept looking at those scans, going through them over and over again. Finally, one of them, said, hey, I need you to come look. I think I may have found something here. And it's in the white brain matter. It's a little different than what they have found with civilians. It's a little different, but it's there.
Okay.
And he also did the spinal proteomics. And he tried one treatment trial. I can't remember exactly how that came about, but it wasn't jump up and down exciting, So he looked around and he knew of Dr. Holton at American University. And he's the one that reached over to her. And that's why when you get in this program that I've been recruiting for everybody, but you're going to get the fMRI diffusion tensor technology. And you're going to have that, and he'll help you. I mean, he's helped with letters and all that to help with our claims. Okay. I don't advertise that because he's a pretty busy man. Okay. But if you're getting roadblocks after roadblocks, reach out and see if they can help you. That's all you can do is ask. It's up to them. Researchers normally don't do that. Okay. That's kind of a no-no. But anyway, but having dealt with us all these years, they want to help some way. But he got Dr. Holton involved, and she had done this study, and I had her, I interviewed her for my little progressive radio network, and I intend to have her back on. But she was helping a friend of hers that was pregnant, that was having these symptoms. and she connected with Let's Change Your Diet, and it helped. Her friend got better, had a healthy
Wow.
pregnancy, all that. And so she has done this study with other population groups, even overseas. So I've found all those research papers she's done. And so Dr. Bronick is to be thanked for going over and saying, hey, you may have something that can help them. And I'll help by doing the scans. And we'll see what we show, besides blood and sputum and everything they correct. So we had
Right.
the first funding for her study with a small group of 40 of us. And I was in that group. Okay. And we altered what food we take. And it's basically learning to read ingredients.
It is. I know.
Read. I mean, you're going to be trained. She does your training after you go for your initial visit. Okay. That you're going to get that scan, you're going to get blood work, all that done. That's the preliminary.
Yep.
Catch all the data before you do the change. And then you
Right.
get your notebook and you get your video conference with her training you. And then you go out and do your shopping, get rid of the stuff that you know you should not be using, and you
It's a
change your
game
diet.
changer. It's a game changer for me.
And I'm going to listen to you because we had seven published studies, I think the last count I had, that showed the changes that were accomplished in the 40 of us. Pain level, PTSD symptoms decreasing. I mean, just a whole
Cognitive
variety.
functions are better. The
Yeah.
inflammation is down. So if I haven't made myself clear, audience, I'm one of the latest round. I'm in the latest round of the study. So you were iteration 1. I don't know what iteration I'm in, but I was just there in July, and the numbers, even from the labs that they gave us, from in just the 30 days, because I had to go off of all of my, I had to eat normal crappy food and get off of the vitamins and minerals that I take for 30 days and establish a new yucky baseline, and then go on the clean diet eating per the protocol for 30 days. So they did 2 labs, sets from that first time to the last time, and almost all of the numbers got better. There was only one that went down, and I'm not sure why it went down, but all the rest of the numbers look good.
So it's being successful for you. Now,
yes.
what we did was we went from the sample size, which was 40 of us. Then we had to go fight for funding again. And that can be covered in a different program. People need to be informed about what we've gone through to do this. But we had to go back and fight to get funding each year. And then the researchers have to put in their proposals, and they go through a merit panel, which is just based on what they're doing in their study.
Right.
And then they go to the bigger panel, which is integrating the whole picture of what we need, what's more important. Okay. So they have to go through that scrutiny after this proposal that can be 200 pages or more. Okay.
Yeah, the IRB is no joke. Right.
No.
The IRB
And I
is
mean,
no
they
joke.
have to have their credentials, the plan they have laid out, the cost factor on everything, assistance they're going to need, lab work, the whole bit. It's a huge undertaking for a researcher to go through this. And then they have to go, after they're rated and they get on their awards list, then they have to go through contracting by the Defense Department, because that's where the funds are coming from. So this is hard work, people, to get to this point and then to have one. And we are at a phase 3 study. We need a total.
How many people do we need?
On this diet, phase 3 is 160. We're close.
That's how many more? Okay.
We need 20. Now, she's had 30 people that called her that got through the screening that haven't set up an appointment. Okay?
We need follow-through, people. That's the call to
We're
action. We
running.
need follow through.
Yeah, we're running out of time. We can take 2 a week up there, 2 people a week. So if you have a friend that gets qualified, you can go together. Okay. The travel's paid for, your place that you're going to need to
Yep.
stay, all that's paid for.
They'll
Okay.
make the hotel arrangement for you, and you can Uber from that location to the university. There was a guy who traveled when I went. He traveled from someplace else. We had 2 separate times, so, like 30 minutes apart. So we kind of saw each other, but we didn't really talk with each other. But I saw him at the beginning and I saw him at the end.
Yeah. So we need at least 2 a week. And this has got to be done. We are got limited time. It's got to be done by the middle of December. Okay. So we
We
need
need
people
more people.
calling,
Sign up.
and she had some being done by, either over at Boston took a few. I don't know if they
I
made
went
their
to Boston
number.
too.
Okay. They were having somebody at Boston do the same study, but over at Boston. It was a separate study. And then they had somebody down in Florida that agreed to do so many. I don't know if they met their numbers, but we are
Oh, okay.
short from the 160. We are short, and we need the call out. That's why we give those phone numbers, and you're going to put it on the screen again
It's
for
there.
call in, because we need you now. You need to call now. No further delay, people, and this does help us at least give it a fair shot. If you're having trouble, or if you know a friend, like I have a street party going on today that I'm going to walk down to after the show here, but I walked down and by accident found out I had an 82nd Airborne guy up the street from me that served in Desert Storm. I met him at the
Wow.
street party. Put my hat on for Desert Storm. Really, wear your hats to the VA, wherever you go, to the zoo, whatever, wear a Desert Storm hat. Okay.
Yep.
We even, Dr. Galam even has her t-shirts. She's got the newer ones. I've got old ones. I'm from University of California, San Diego. So it was one of the things I pushed out to the researchers is give us something to wear. We have our hats. They haven't done hats for us, but we've got t-shirts. So wear that t-shirt and wear your hat, Desert Storm. Wear it to the VA. Wear it wherever you go, and you'll find other vets that'll come up to you, or you'll
Yeah.
see their hat and you'll go up to them. I had my hat on one day at the VA, and the policeman that works there at the VA came up to me and goes, "I'm a Desert Storm vet." And I go, grab him.
Yay. So
You
let's
know?
give out the number again. Hora's cell number is 949-554-4504. The office number is 202-885-3810. Leave your voicemail and how to reach you. Give your name and tell them that you heard us on From Pain to Purpose radio show, that even Denise gave you the info. And, feel free to Google out there American University Diet Study for Gulf War Veterans. I assure you, it is probably one of the best, well run studies I've ever participated in. I've participated in some others too. But, Denise, I can't thank you enough for what you've been doing, championing this for us. And, I don't know where I would be physically if I hadn't been getting the information that you've been putting out there in all of these Facebook groups, because you've just been a lifesaver for many of us, and you are wonderful.
There's
But I
been
do have to close.
a small group that I want to compliment. We've got the ones that were doing documents, Freedom of Information. Paul Lyons, who's no longer with us, 101st. We have Jim
I got
Brown, the really master at all the documents, freedom of information, and collecting, and finally getting it out on a disk, and then getting it out on Facebook and multiple pages. He divided it up So it's all over the place. And then Kurt Love, he's kind of a different guy, but
We
he
have to
was
go.
involved in the Texas.
We're going to have you back.
Okay,
We're
but
going to have you
there
back,
was a
okay?
small group that are still out there working for our fellow vets because it's going to make a difference. We're making history, people. This was not done for Agent Orange or for.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.
Hey, I'm sorry.